West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why this is an issue.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, June 12th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you're waking up in the greatest country in history. We're off and running. You know Colorado's blue, America's red. Well, it all meets right here on the Jeff and Bill Show, where you're encouraged to be a part of the conversation by giving us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Billy and I wrapping up a great day yesterday up at IHOP.
That was so much fun.
Man, Bobby.
That was so cool. Bobby just did it all.
Who is the director of operations for 8 IHOPs, invites us out, lets us be a part of what they're doing there. And we have so much fun. Great turnout of people. Yes. So much fun to see our friends. You had Joe from Arvada.
Yeah, Brian from Arvada was
Brian
there.
from Arvada. They were together. Even George Brockler texted us at one point and said, "Don't let them touch."
Yes, exactly.
It's a
chemistry. There's a problem that'll happen in the timeline. It's just, it'll fracture really quickly. Yeah.
George was listening yesterday.
It was nice.
It was so much fun to see everybody.
We saw Kyle's Karen's T-shirt for the first
time.
Right.
Mine came in the mail yesterday.
Oh, did they? I've been notified that mine have shipped. We'll have to see. So I'm good. And it did confirm yesterday I'm one of 2 blue shirt owners. So I had to. I'm not a
tip of the hat to Kyle's mom. Who bought the other
exactly.
one.
I appreciate that one so much, but I had to get one of 2. Okay, now got a little truth telling here. Were you hungry at all yesterday? Because
no,
I didn't eat a damn thing the rest of the day.
No, I didn't.
I didn't eat a thing.
I ate IHOP to that point, Bill,
yes.
And then had a little turkey sandwich at about 9 o'clock and went to bed.
I had an orange at noon, and then when I got back from bar trivia at 9 o'clock, I had an apple. That was it. I couldn't stuff anything else in my face. I was so full. Oh, it was so good, though. The food was so good. Oh, it was delicious.
And thank you to everybody that comes out and is a part of this. It's fun to see Bill and I get a chance to run around and chat with people. And then poor John Corbliss, our producer, is going,
no.
Hello,
guys.
Hello. We're back on the air. There's no one here.
I know. And I feel bad because I've been on the other end of that. Like, hey, where's the host? And I've like, okay, I understand how this is done. But yeah, it was fun. It was so much fun. I appreciate everybody that came out and said hello. We had a number of you that just were listening to the radio and swung by. It was fantastic.
This show is a movement. It's a family. Yeah. It is debate. It is high passions and intensity, but also friendship. And we see that when we get to go out and meet people. Yeah. And we want to invite you to be a part of the conversation. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115.
Yeah, one of my highlights yesterday was a big giant hug from Joe from Arvada. That's the thing is, I see it. It's like a family. Yes, it's great. We go at it, but that's because that's intellectual. This is not personal. It's not personal at all. We can jab each other, but we're still friends. At the end of the day, if Joe from Arvada called me and is like, something's gone wrong. I need help hiding a body. I'd be like, all right, just tell me where I need to meet you. It's fine. I got his back. I love him dearly, and I love the fact that he disagrees with me. I think he's fantastic, and I love so many of you that we get to interact with. I had one person yesterday, I was sitting down with them, wonderful couple having breakfast, and the wife looks at me and goes, so tell me, how do you possibly come to the conclusions you do? How did you get there as far as your politics here in Colorado? And so we had this wonderful conversation. But yeah, it's just great. It's like seeing a whole bunch of friends and family. But that hug from Joe from Arvada, that made my day.
Joan, speaking of family, Joan from Lakewood checking in on me. Jeff, how's your back doing? It's better. I appreciate it, Joan. So if you missed it, on Tuesday, went down to the ICE protests that were taking place in Denver.
Yeah, and you didn't know you were getting into a WWE cage match.
Right, exactly.
No idea someone's going to come out of nowhere and hit you with a chair.
Sucker kicked. I didn't even know that was an issue.
I know.
Or activity.
I didn't
but
either.
I know sucker punch.
Yeah, but sucker kick?
But I'm sitting there and I'm on video. You can go to x.com. We're over 8 million impressions on this, by the way, at this point. I'm sitting there going, hey, Jeff Hunt, 710K in U.S. down here at the anti-ice. As I get sucker kicked in the back, in the lower back, right in the center.
And thanks to a lot of friends of the show and fans of Jeff on Twitter, we think we've identified the individual. Again, not going to put their name out there. It's not fair right now. But if something happens and there's a conviction, yeah, you'll know who he is. Just saying.
And I'm learning about this process. So
yeah, tell us about it.
Tuesday I get kicked, and I chase the guy down to get the video because I want his face.
So smart.
And I confront him and I tell him I'm going to bring him up on assault charges. You see the look on his face change.
Oh yeah, and the best part about it is, and this is the thing that you have to go back and watch this. Look for Jeff's account, Jeff Hunt on X, and I'm going to do it nice here. Yeah, it's Twitter. It's really Twitter. But look for Jeff Hunt on X. You've got to see it because one of the things that I'm so proud about my partner here that's sitting across the glass from me is the fact that he didn't react emotionally. There's emotion in his voice, but in most situations, in that sort of a crowd, this is a threat and you are going to confront this threat. But Jeff, very calmly, again, you'll hear emotion in his voice, but he's like, no, you don't understand. This is assault. This is police. I'm not here to fight you. I'm not going to punch you. I'm not going to say, "Brr," and we're not ripping our shirts off. We're not going full Hulk Hogan. The issue is what you did was wrong. And I'm perfectly happy to point it out to you, and I'm going to report you to police. And that's it. You did everything that should be done. Everybody should watch that. But you can hear that emotion in your voice. But that takes a lot. In that instance, that takes a heck of a lot of restraint. It's very easy to start swinging. You did admirably, my friend.
So chase him down, get the video. Then he and there's a guy with him.
Yeah,
I don't want to assume there's a connection there, we think, but I'm not going to get into it. But there's a guy with him. They take off. So and you hear him say, I just essentially Jeff really makes me mad. And
he uses a different phrase, but we're not going to say it on the air.
Right.
But that's what he said.
And I was talking to a district attorney yesterday who used to sit in the seat, actually. And he goes, wow, that sounds like motive. I'm like, huh. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
On camera. Yes. Yes. And that's the funny thing is I don't think he realized it. He was looking like, well, this is why I did it. And you're like, wait, you've just admitted, one, based on the statement,
it was premeditated.
Admission of the act, and you've admitted motive.
Yeah. And that was premeditated.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I at that moment, did not want to run around looking for a police officer.
No.
Right? So police are trying to keep the peace.
Yeah.
And frankly, I didn't see any.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot. And this is, I think, a fair critique of Tuesday compared to what I saw in Chicago at the DNC, where you had cops and their bikes like shoulder to shoulder the entire way that the march took place. In this case, I didn't see any police officers. And then I didn't want to run off either at that point either. So I conduct a few more interviews, and then I get out of there and went home, put the video up because I wanted to try to figure out who this guy was. And then I have a very early morning the next morning with a live broadcast. So
very early.
Pop a few Advil, go to bed, get up, we do the live broadcast. Back still hurting the next day, but it's not, I mean, I don't have a broken back or anything. So just...
It's like yard work kind of a thing.
Go through the... Look, a little tougher than that, but go through the work, the live broadcast, and then go home. And I get online, and I'm like, all right, how do you file a police report for assault? And they say you can't do it online. Call this phone number, this non-emergency phone number. So I called DPD non-emergency phone number. This is at about 11:30 yesterday, right after the broadcast.
Yeah.
And they go, you can't file it over the phone. You have to do it in person. We can send a police officer to you. I'm like, guys, I already know you're under a lot of pressure and you're underfunded. And, the idea of ask DPT to drive all the way out to Elizabeth, Colorado to fill out the report. Don't worry about it. I'll come by after the show today. So my goal today...
If you had close neighbors, I would have said, take the cop to your house. Just because. Because everybody's going to want to know why the police officer at the Hunt House. Right. Just because.
Right. That'll make the rounds for sure next door.
Exactly.
What's going on?
Yeah, I know. What's happening?
So... I'm going to go by today. I'll fill out the report. I'll keep everybody updated on the process. I've never really had to do this before. I did call the police one time on Ian Silveri.
There we go. Yeah, that's true.
Do you know who Ian, the husband of Brittany Pedersen, who was encouraging Antifa to win again against me on the anniversary of D-Day.
Yeah, that's, there's some implications there.
I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. And this was like in the height of Antifa, like chasing people down and assaulting
The
them.
other part is that, again, Ian just cracked the history book there. Like D-Day, there was an Antifa storming the beaches, but that's okay.
Yeah, right.
Why? I mean, that's, facts, who cares? When you're making a political point, who cares? Yeah.
So we'll keep you updated. I want to thank everybody on X who helped identify who we believe this guy is. This is amazing. So what happened here on X, this is a crazy story.
You crowdsourced it.
Right. So I posted on X the actual raw footage of me being kicked and then me chasing down the guy and getting his name, or not his name, sorry, his face on camera. And then I upload it and I just ask people to please help me identify him as I'm seeking assault charges. And lo and behold, they go out there. First, they do their work online and identify the guy that's with him, and then identify via relationship who this other guy is that actually kicked me. So that all took place in the course of about 2.5 hours on X. We're now at over 8 million impressions. I mean, this thing went absolutely global. Libs of TikTok retweeted it. Guys like Andy No, who have had to deal with Antifa in the past, have posted about it. So it's all coming together. I'm going to take it all to the police, what we've identified, and I'll keep you updated on what's going on there. So now, though, let's get some news and comment from Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It's Thursday, 58 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 90 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, a passenger plane with over 240 people on board has crashed in India minutes after takeoff. The federal health minister there says many people have been killed. It was headed to London. The organizer of a No Kings rally this weekend in Parker plans to go ahead with the protest despite opposition from town leaders. The protest is happening the same weekend as a great event, Parker Days, a 3-day event. Happening in downtown. A spokesperson for the town says festival requires a lot of attention and resources, leaving little or no room for oversight of protest and No Kings Day protests.
And Blake, in light of that, we're going to have the former mayor of Parker on in the 8 o'clock hour, Jeff Toborg.
Awesome.
Who is going to tell us about Parker Days, because this is, I think this is a bad move on multiple levels. One, you have the logistics of it, right?
Yep.
These protests are not entirely peaceful, as I can tell you from personal experience. They don't bring out the best people.
Right.
So you're now going to encourage some of society's most violent, nitwits to come out and protest. So you're going to have that. Now police have to watch that. And what are they going to do? Are they going to destroy things? All that. But then also you've got tens of thousands of families coming to ride Ferris wheels, enjoy good food, walk around Parker.
Pancakes.
I just see this as a huge disaster for the organizers as well. If you think this is going to be well received,
No.
It's kind of, I mean, I was in Boulder, running the Boulder, and they're doing the Free Palestine protest, and
Right.
people didn't want to deal with it. It's
Exactly.
like politics is everywhere all the time. Can we have a space or a moment to have some fun? Is that possible? Does
exactly.
everything always have to be political? And I just think that this is going to backfire.
I do too.
The organizers could have easily gone somewhere else in Douglas County. They could have gone to down to Council Rock, wherever. But
Yeah.
to do this in Parker, I just think this is a bad move.
Now, this is scheduled for late morning, so 10 in the morning till noon. Now, what I'm curious about, all these spots up and down the Front Range, I think they're in the morning, that part is good. I mean, there are like probably, I think I saw 26 or 27 in the state, and then up and down the Front Range over 20. So, I mean, I'm glad they're in the day, but I don't know if that means they're going to meet later in the day, in the evening or late afternoon in Denver, probably, more than likely. So we'll keep an eye on that, but quit messing around with Parker days, please. Mayor Johnston expressing disappointment after more than a dozen people were arrested during the Tuesday protest. Denver police announced 18 arrests, mostly for blocking the street and failing to obey lawful orders. There were also several graffiti-related arrests, and 2 people were charged with suspicion of assaulting a peace officer. And there was a news reporter, I think his name was Jeff, who was kicked in the back. The mayor told Channel 9 he's frustrated and angry about the arrest, saying they send the wrong message about the city.
Yeah. No.
See, I'm reading this wrong. Is he angry that they were arrested, or is he
Well, that's a
angry
good
that
question. I'm guessing he's.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, the guy's desperately trying to get people to come downtown because nobody is, in light of violent activities taking place. So
Yes.
he's even running around. Did you see this video? Bill showed me this video where he's running around 16th Street Mall and he's kind of acting goofy, like, "Hey, look, we got this, we got this, we got restaurants, and all
yeah,
these
what's-
people are coming down." And
That
all
was-
this.
In the
Again,
world.
This is what makes me upset. Who's his advisor on these things?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It just, Jeff and I do silly things here on the air all the time, and not all of them actually work. But he has some time to kind of workshop these things and whiteboard them.
exactly.
And the one thing that got me was he's showing us how vibrant 16th Street Mall is, but he's running. You don't get to see much. I mean,
What is he?
it's-
Why doesn't he stop and to enjoy?
It's really quick,
and
the other
strolling.
and the other part is the camera's shaking, so you can't see it because he's moving and it's bouncing, and so it's got this whole Blair
That
Witch
drives me
Project
nuts.
thing, and you're like, blah, you can't see anything. It's bouncing
Yeah.
along, and I'm like, did you watch this before posting it? Because at the end, it's really bad. I need to talk to
who
the
was
team.
responsible?
Yeah, the team. I
that's
think
bad.
maybe hired the people that advised Jared Polis on how to chop things in half or break glass they can't break inside of.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I don't know what
No,
it
that's bad. That
Yeah.
drives me nuts.
It was awful.
Make
It was-
it aesthetically pleasing at least.
Yes. How cool would it have been if he was walking down and this? Okay. Let's talk about this for a second. I have a theory about why Mayor Johnston had to run going down 16th Street Mall. He might not necessarily be as popular as we've been led to believe. Maybe, just maybe, if he stops and talks to people, they'd go, "Get away from me, you weirdo." I'm just, just saying. Maybe that's the reason. It's like, no, sir, don't take the chance. Don't try to talk to the people. Don't want to listen to them. Just run through them. Yeah, run through them and look like you're having fun. Again,
Weird.
it's
I got to
really
take a
weird.
look at that again. I saw
It's
like
just-
10 seconds.
Oh,
of it.
go all the way
so
through it
bad.
because, and it's only like it's less than a couple minutes, but it's just the entire execution of it doesn't do exactly what he thinks. He does get the visual of, look, there are lots of people here, but he doesn't communicate that, look, this is what it's like all the time, and Denver's down and open,
He's running.
and the best, yes. So if I wanted to go shopping down there, I don't see anything that would attract me. I don't get to see any of the restaurant names. I see none of the kiosk names. I don't see anything that's being sold there. So other than there are other people there, I see nothing. So bad.
The sense you get from it is that he's getting kind of desperate.
Yes, that's
And
exactly
I
it.
don't blame
It reeked
him
of desperation.
because at the end of the day, there's only just so much money. And he's run out of it. He's cutting services. He's furloughing employees.
Yeah.
His little vision for what the city of Denver was going to become.
Yeah.
This great paradise of business and affordable housing and no homeless and all that stuff is crumbling before his eyes.
Yeah.
I saw it at a speech he gave a few months ago. He looked so tired. And I even said to somebody at the time, I said, I think he's coming to terms with the fact he's failing here. And then this video comes of him running around the city of Denver. It almost comes across as desperate. Then
Very
you
desperate.
have now these protests, 18 people arrested, vandalism, even harming law enforcement. That's not the message you got to send when half of your revenue requires sales tax, which means you don't get it unless people spend it. You
Jeff,
can't force it upon people.
That is really smart. I think you've nailed that. That the video of Mayor Johnston running through downtown at 16th Street Mall is desperate. It is an act of desperation. It's like, look, love me. I'm still good. You this is what you fell in love with. You know what he is?
Yeah.
He's John Cusack at Say Anything, and he's standing outside the girl's window with the boombox. That's what that video is. It's his Say Anything moment from John Cusack. That's exactly what it is. Oh, that's
I
insightful.
see that. Absolutely. Well, guys, I wish the media would stop using the word spreading. You're hearing spreading. These protests are spreading across the country. They're not organic. They are scheduled. We see it in Parker. Well-organized, commie-funded pep rallies that they hope spread to chaos and riots like what we've seen in L.A. and Las Vegas. Police declared an unlawful assembly after protesters gathered near the federal tower that houses ICE and then went to march to other locations. A curfew is in effect in Spokane following protests and confrontations with ICE officers Wednesday night. But I love what South Carolina AG Alan Wilson is doing in advance.
Earlier, my office put out a public safety advisory regarding upcoming protests going on around the country that are going to be coordinated with extremist left-leaning groups that are here to disrupt and vandalize local communities. I'm here to say to those people, if you come to South Carolina, if you attack law enforcement, if you attack people, if you destroy property, if you're disruptive and violent, we will come after you, we will put you in jail, we will prosecute you. There is no room for outside agitators in South Carolina. Play stupid games, you will win stupid prizes.
Nip it. Amen. DJT got a loud and mixed reception at the Kennedy Center during the opening night of Les Mis. Supporters cheered as he arrived, but critics booed, shouting expletives and calling him a felon. Oh, that's nice at the Kennedy Center. Closing arguments in the defamation trial of MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell could happen later today. Lawyers for plaintiff Eric Coomer introduced their final witness Wednesday. Coomer is suing Lindell over his claims that the former Dominion voting systems employee helped rig the results of the 2020 presidential election. Lindell has continued to argue that the election was stolen in his testimony during the trial. Music legends are honoring Beach Boys icon and the leader, Brian Wilson, who has died at the age of 82. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Pacers do it again. They beat the Thunder in Indy. Back at home, and they win 116-107. They lead OKC 2-1. Giants beat the Rockies 10-7 last night. Today, 110 first pitch getaway day. 55 in Golden, 57 in Glendale, 58 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Warm summer-like days and
all right,
mild
let's go to the
summer-like
phone
nights
lines.
as we head
Johnny,
on through
Denver.
the rest
Good
of the
morning,
week
Johnny.
and
You're on with
head
Jeff
into
and
the
Bill.
Weekend here in northern
Hey, good morning, guys. whatever happens to that saying, and maybe this is old school, your freedom of speech ends at the tip of my nose.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard that?
Oh yeah,
before?
yeah. That's and it's a kind of like pocketbook law phrase. Yeah, and that's fairly true.
Right. So what I experienced when I was sucker punched. Okay, so it happened in May. The conclusion didn't happen until October. Because we're negotiating, because since I was over 65, it was like it was under another jurisdiction, and so they were trying to get it down to a misdemeanor, and then we finally found out that he wasn't taking his drugs, and I'm thinking like, well, is that my problem that he wasn't taking his drugs?
Yeah, why is that my problem to get hit? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I hope they don't drag it out, and you will have a lot of contact with, officers on the case, and they will call you to see how you are, and then you have a choice of either watching the proceedings on video, if you don't have to come down to the court, or you can choose to come down, or you can watch it, because they have it online where you can see the court procedures. So that was kind of very convenient. And Jeff, because you had a camera, they had cameras around King Soopers where they got a clear picture of the guy, and so it was good that you did take that video, and then you got that confession. So hopefully they won't be able to deplete it down to something less than what it is.
Johnny, what was the result of your case?
They like I said, they pleaded down to misdemeanor. He has to be on probation for about a year. So they kept him in jail over the summer while they got him back on his medications, I guess. And that was pretty much the end of it.
Wow, Johnny, I appreciate the call. I'm going to continue to follow up with you. We've got to jump here real quick. Jonathan Decker is joining us. You know him, White House correspondent. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency is now seeking new ways to ramp up arrests nationwide. Jon Decker's talking about ideas that are being floated. Good morning, John. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, thanks a lot. Good morning to both of you. That's right. So you know about the immigration raids that took place in Los Angeles, in the Garment District in particular, that kicked off all of these protests in L.A. Well, there are workplace raids now happening, conducted by ICE all across the country. And the goal here, according to the White House, is to round up 3,000, at least 3,000 individuals per day who are in the country illegally, so they don't necessarily have to have a criminal background. They are simply just in the country illegally. They could just be overstaying a visa, and they would be caught up in these raids. This is really obviously stretched ICE pretty thin when you're talking about these nationwide raids. They have staggered shifts because they're working 7 days a week in terms of trying to meet this goal.
That's Jon Decker, White House correspondent. John, reports are coming that this order is coming essentially from Stephen Miller trying to push ICE to get to that number. Any insight as to why they chose 3,000 a day, why they're pushing this hard?
No, you know what? It's a lofty goal, first and foremost, 3,000. And even if you meet that goal, I think the next question is, okay, you have 3,000, at least 3,000 individuals that you've arrested, you've detained. Where do you detain them? That's, I think, a question that is unknown at this point. There's talk about reopening the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. I've been there. I've been to Guantanamo. It's not just flipping a switch. That takes a lot of time. That takes months to prepare that facility to accommodate the numbers that we're talking about in terms of detained individuals.
And word you might be hearing from inside the immigrant community, are they now taking self-deportation more seriously in light of this?
Well, I haven't seen numbers on that, and I've asked Tom Homan, I actually get an opportunity to ask Tom Homan when I see him at the White House, what are the numbers as it relates to, self-deporting, self-reporting. The numbers are not that high. Remember, it was the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who announced this program in which individuals that self-deported would get $1,000 once they're back in their home country. I do not know the answer of how many individuals have actually taken advantage, if you want to call it that, of this program. I don't think the number is very high. Otherwise, the administration would be touting that number.
That's Jon Decker, White House correspondent. Thank you so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right, phone lines are open. Give us a call and join the conversation. And Johnny, sorry we had to go so quick to Decker there. He is got a lot of demands on his time, and so to be able to get him, we only get him for a few minutes. But Johnny, thank you for your giving us perspective on your sucker punch case and what happened there with the guy and how that process rolled out. I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to happen. So, Johnny, thank you again. We'd love to follow up with you off air on that. All right. Join the conversation. Phone line 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. The report about Stephen Miller now pushing this to 3,000 was fascinating. Frustrated that ICE wasn't getting illegal immigrants out fast enough, that the criminals were hard to find. And in this case, now wanting to get to the point of mass deportations. And Bill, you and I have talked a lot about this.
Yeah.
This is where I, as a Trump voter, wanted it to go all along.
Yeah.
That anybody who's in this country illegally has already broken a law, and they need to go. And if you do this in any other country, you overstay a visa, you walk across the border, they're pretty tough on you. They'll make you pay fines. They'll kick you out. I was watching a video of a lady documenting her experience being in Mexico illegally and how they treated her. So par for the course in this world is you don't just get to go to another country and show up and claim a right to be there. So in my mind, this is where we were going all along. Now, what I want to see, and we didn't get a chance to talk with Jon Decker about this, but I want to see these business owners brought up on prosecution as well. This shouldn't just be raids at meatpacking plants in Omaha, Nebraska, for instance, which is what happened yesterday. I want to see business owners employing illegal immigrants and facilitating this type of activity being prosecuted as well.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I've been fairly consistent on the idea that we need to enforce the idea of E-Verify. We need to enforce the employment because that's the supply side and on the supply side, that's the demand side in this equation. That's the demand for the jobs. That if you dry up the jobs, the incentive for as much illegal immigration goes away. But because we're going after business owners, that's a little bit more of a difficult lift for both Democrats and especially Republicans. Especially Republicans, in my opinion, going after the business owner when they talk about protecting the business owner for a lot of times. I've seen recent reports coming out of Florida that home construction, landscaping, some industries there being devastated. There is a construction guy that said he's lost 2/3 of his workforce. There's a landscaper friend of his, he said, guy has already had to close down because he's lost his entire workforce. And they didn't say it was either from ICE raids or just self-deportation, but he's like, some of it is ICE raids. Some of it is just the people not showing up for work. I don't know if they're self-deporting. He didn't know. But he's like, I've lost 2/3 of my workforce. He's like, yeah, I'm looking at bankruptcy here in a couple of months. That's part of this. If only somewhere across the great fruited plain of our nation, there was some sort of a beacon of hope and light that before the election would have been resonating on the airwaves. The fact that when they said they were going to go after the criminals, they couldn't find them. That would be the show. We're going to talk about the idea that when they we said it before the election, that this promise that we were going to go after the criminals, the people doing all the father raping and mother stabbing, were going to be the most difficult because they're the criminals. They're the ones off the radar. And if you don't have contact with them, it's harder to find them. The ones that are the easiest targets are the ones that are in the system because you already have that giant list and you know where they are. Plus, they show up for immigration hearings. That's exactly where they're going. Now, it's a number of months before this show thought it was going to happen. We postulated around 6 months to a year. They're much quicker, which tells me they can't find these criminals in the numbers they thought they were going to be able to. This is telling me that it's much more difficult for them to find the really super bad guys they've been scaring us about for months. And so in order to make number go bigger, you had to go after the other immigrants, the other illegals. We said that before any of us cast a single vote. How many were listening? Well, what are you going to do?
All right, join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Campbell Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Stephen Miller ramping up deportations. 3,000 ICE arrests a day, pushing them to the next level. Bill, when I was down interviewing folks that were here illegally, family members of illegals, there's a real sense of concern. I think that this will push people to self-deport. I know Jon Decker, who just joined the show, White House correspondent, hasn't seen the numbers, hasn't seen the Trump administration touting the numbers, but reasonable people, and you and I have talked about this on the show before. I'm not talking about the violent illegal immigrants, TDA members, torturing people, those types of things. I'm talking people that came up maybe from Mexico, Latin America, kept their heads down, are generally reasonable people that just wanted to try to get a better life, but recognize they're in a tough spot right now because you get popped for running a red light, for instance, like in Georgia. Whole family now is getting deported. I think they're just going to quietly leave. I don't think you're going to see much information. You're not going to see Facebook posts. You're not going to see a letter explaining their frustration. They came here quietly. They'll disappear here quietly because they don't want their name on a list. I know Trump has offered $1,000 and a plane ticket, but then again, your name's on a list.
Yeah, I'm convinced that there is some portion of it, but I don't know how significant that portion is. And what I mean by that is significance. Does it rise above 25%? Does it rise above 50? Do we get to 70? I'm hard-pressed to think, and again, I'm just spitballing this, I'm hard-pressed to think that it would rise above 10 to 15%. And again, that is a good number.
Yeah,
but I'm hard-pressed to figure out it would be more than that. One being, yeah, your name's on a list, but isn't that list only applicable based on who's in power? Because if you get a Democrat administration, it could just go into the delete bin. So that list may not necessarily be relevant per se. So I'm curious. I think there's some that are going to be deported. The question that I've got are for the people that are already in the system. Those that have an immigration appointment for asylum. And they have those, they've done what they're supposed to. They came here, they claimed asylum, they've waited for their day in court, they've waited for the adjudication, and they're showing up, and then they're getting picked up and deported. They're not actually being able to, some of these, or they're checking in, they've been granted asylum for a limited amount of time, and during these check-ins, they're getting picked up. Those are the people I'm super curious about because theoretically, they're the ones that are following what we ask them to do inside the system. If we want them to do something else, we should change the system. That's one that I find very interesting, and I'm unsure what the downstream impacts and effects on illegal immigrants and asylum seekers are going to be based on that.
Who gets to choose who gets to stay in this country? Like out of the three branches, right? When you're looking at the actual decision maker on who becomes a citizen or gets a green card, it's the executive branch, right?
I'm not certain about that.
It's not the judiciary.
I don't think so. Well, my guess would be it'd have to be Congress. It'd have to be outlined by law. That'd be my guess.
Well, they wrote the law, but,
but
just because you follow the law doesn't mean you get to become a citizen.
But
it's not like...
But the executive, but I know that, but what I'm saying is the executive's not king. The executive cannot wave the Jeff and Bill magic wand and decide these people are citizens and these people aren't. That would have to be outlined by... I don't think they can. I don't think, because they can't, if Donald Trump said today, everybody who came here from Venezuela that has ever immigrated is no longer a citizen, get out. He can't do that. There's no, he doesn't have the functional ability to do that.
Well, if you had already become a citizen, but if you're in the pipeline, right?
But again, if your question was who's a citizen and who isn't.
Well, right.
So
if you're in the pipeline to becoming a citizen, I'm pretty sure it's the executive branch. And so if the executive branch just decides, no, we're not going to allow people anymore, and even if you're going through the process, you're done, you're out, I think they have the right to do that. Well, prove me wrong. Give me a call, 303-696-1971. Text me on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. A little Shania Twain to wake you up this morning. And a little silliness as well. This is the time of the morning we bring you You Choose the News.
Yes, it was always interesting. Shania's relationship didn't work out with Mutt Lang, but we'll talk about that another. That's a different
thing. With who?
Different. No, it's a different, different issue. There was a relationship in the background, but that's a different story, different day. Sorry. Yes, let's get it. Sorry, the music thing in me always pops up. Okay, yes, it is time for America's favorite fake radio news game show. You Choose the News. I've spent mere moments this morning scouring the interwebs for really dumb stories about us humans. You'd be surprised how easy it is. We do a lot of dumb stuff. And then giving them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why, oh why would we do something this silly this early in the morning? Well, we got to do this early in the morning because the people in charge don't know that we do this. We were able to distract Kelly Michaels yesterday during this portion of the broadcast. He was busy responding to other stuff and didn't see it when we did this at IHOP. So I appreciate everybody for helping out. So remember, again, this is a secret. Shh. And just like all good teenagers who know you got to bring somebody else in on your clever plan, we bring in Blake Olson from the newsroom because we got to have a scapegoat. Just saying, Blake, and love you.
Yeah. I'm glad Kelly didn't see us doing it yesterday.
I know.
That's awesome.
Dude, it was very difficult. It was like,
he was face down into some...
Yeah. Like, hey, did you look at this? Yes. I'm like, all right, here we go. Okay, gentlemen, your choices this morning. Headline number 1, This Little Light of Mine. Headline number 2, Sammy Hagar approves. Headline number 3, you should really get that looked at. And headline number 4, catch me if you can.
You should really get that looked at.
Yeah, you should really get that looked at. Here we find ourselves in Florida. Just recently, a Florida deputy was stopped at an intersection by a woman who was frantic and said, help, you've got to come help my brother. He was recently attacked by a man with a machete. And the attacker is now taking him to the hospital? Yes. What? Angel Ramos Arce, 35, got into a verbal altercation with the victim around the area of a Circle K in Kissimmee, Florida, June 9th. Before then deciding, well, obviously this disagreement leads to a stabbing. Stab. Yes, he got a little stabby. Deputies went to the hospital and learned the incident began over a verbal argument at the Circle K between Ramos Arce and the victim. It probably was the best flavor of Skittles. I'm just spitballing there, who knows. Inside Ramos Arce's truck, the deputies found blood from the victim, and they also found the machete that was used in the incident. Again, it's, even like when Jeff was attacked, the guy didn't come over and make sure he was okay and offered him to the hospital in a medical condition. I mean, there's no honor among thieves and people that stab people and attack people and kick people. I'm just saying. Yeah, jeez. I know. I love the fact that, sorry about that. That looks bad. Here, let's get in the car. Let's take you to the hospital. Would you get in the hospital? Would you get in the car with the guy that attacked you? He's going to take you to the hospital. He's like, I don't trust you to begin with. Our relationship's already on rocky footing here. I don't think I get in the car, and I don't think I'm going anywhere. Okay. Alrighty. Now, Blake, your choice, sir. This little light of mine, Sammy Hagar approves, or catch me if you can.
Billy, I'm going to let it shine.
Oh, yes, let it shine. Just make sure not everybody's watching. I'm just saying here. Okay. In the tangled roots of the Malaysian and Singapore mangrove forest, there are certain species of crab that have been baffling scientists for years because they sport a glowing facial band. Right between their eyes, they have bioluminescent patches that act like tiny headlamps. They cast a gentle light in the otherwise very, very dim environment. It's a really unusual trait for shallow water species. Normally, you see this develop in deep water species because there's no light. But why in the heck do Malaysian and Singaporean crabs have these glowing bands? Well, also, the glow varies by sex. The male crabs tend to emit a brighter blue than the females, so it may hint at a row of, signaling for mates, but the source of the glow, they know it's based on their diet. They eat a lot of stuff that's decaying in the water, and it's rich in carotenoids, and so the compounds produce the light-emitting effect. Well, now, scientists have figured out they think that it's actually used more in communication, that the signals for crabs that work together or know each other, they can communicate and they can change the bioluminescence and focusing and amplifying the glow at certain angles. So they're saying now that not only does it involve mating, but it also is a communication form between the different crabs. So they can talk to each other, using their bright, flashy glows. Yeah.
Nice. You think it would work in my marriage?
Yes. I think we highly recommend a lot more flashing in your marriage, Blake. Just saying.
I think we've discovered a new chapter of your career. That you can be the Bill Thorpe, alligator wrestler.
Dude, I love the science stuff. I love this stuff. It really, it scratches an itch. Alrighty, speaking of scratching an itch, Mr. Hunt, sir, Sammy Hagar approves, or catch me if you can?
Catch me if you can.
Yeah, catch me if you can. A federal jury hasn't convicted a 35-year-old South Florida man who fraudulently booked more than 120 free airline flights. How in the hell did he pull this off? He pretended to be a flight attendant. Treon Alexander was found guilty of wire fraud and unlawfully entering secure airport under false pretenses. He used basically fake IDs in order to board 34 different flights and flew without paying between 2018 and 2024. He submitted false information through the airline's carrier employee flight booking system and falsely claimed to be a flight attendant with more than 30 different fake badge numbers.
And how many flights did he take again?
I'm going to go back to the paper there. Let's see, 34.
34 free flights.
I know.
Did he lie about his weight?
And the number of bags he had.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.